Hey guys, it's Megan here. I hope that my voice isn't too crazy right now. I'm just coming into a cold. So yay for that. Over the next couple of weeks, I was supposed to record episodes, but I am feeling just really poopy. So we are going to replay some of my all-time favorites until I'm able to get back on my feet and until we are done with the move. Oh my God, you guys, this is happening right now. So over the next couple of weeks, enjoy some of my favorite Stop Sucking at Business episodes. I'll talk to you again soon. It's time to grow your business, stop spinning your wheels, and build the life you deserve. And I'm here to help. My name is Megan Brame. This is Stop Sucking at Business. Hey guys, so glad to be here. Can I tell you that it has been a while since I have recorded a podcast. I did them all in bulk because I knew that June was just going to be Banana Town for me with the launches that I had, the Mentor series, and also with Beauty Biz Pro. And dudes, I am beat. I am beatbox Betty, so beat. And this is just the ramp up right now because now we're in July. And I can't even believe it. I can't believe it because we are going to go buy our first house this month. This month, I'm going to be, this is just, you know, you ever watch Community? And Donald Glover's character had this scene where he goes, my emotions. That's what I'm feeling. I got a whole bunch of things going on in my brain and in my feelings, and it's just a crazy time right now. So I'm really glad that I can spend this crazy time with the people that I really love. And one of them you're going to hear from today. His name is Jared Andrews. I have known Jared 11, 12 years, maybe. We met in college at Pittsburgh. Well, actually, we met we were in college in Pittsburgh and working for an environmental group where we would call lapsed members pretty much and just beg them for money. And consequently, that's why I hate talking on the phone now. But the best part that I got out of it was meeting Jared and knowing him all these years. And it's so funny that we started in Pittsburgh, and yet we both ended up in New York City. And he's just killing it. He's killing it as a social media consultant. He knows so much about stats and analytics and all of these things that even after the call that you'll hear, we were talking, and he's just he knows so much stuff, and it's just mind-boggling at how talented and how amazing he is. He not only, this is a little fun fact for you, he not only is a social media guru, he was the one that was just you need to get your company on LinkedIn just to have a presence there. And I was always man, I don't wanna, it's another platform, I'm gonna do much to do. But he was definitely the pioneer for me for making sure that I was just having presences anywhere I could. And little fun fact for you, he was also I guess I want to call him my booth designer. He was, when I had my soap company, my trade show booths, my craft show booths, displays, Jared was the man. He and I would sit. He has this really big passion for architecture, and so he would sit down with me and map things out and do grids and things and actually figure out space and dimensions, which I never did. I was this will all fit, right? It'll be fine. And he just he killed it all the time. And so I am so thrilled to introduce you to him because I love him very much, and I've loved him for many years. And I'm really excited that he is here to share his expertise with you guys, all about creating effective social media campaigns, the tools you should use, what you should look out for. We talk about best practices for even starting like if you're just starting on social media, like the best things for you to do. And it's just incredible. He's amazing. So I hope you love this interview and I hope you get a lot out of it. You should definitely tweet him at Jared J. Andrews. Now, his name is actually with 2 R's, so Jared J. Andrews. But reach out to him, say hi, tell him he's amazing because he is, and I love him, and I hope you love him too. Here's my interview with Jared Andrews. All right, Jared, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Can we just do a quick background on your experience and what made you start looking into social media?
Yes, it's over a long period of time, but I've been using social media just at a personal level for a really long time, and it's evolved from, I come from higher education, and I was a community manager, and I did a bunch of social media and all sorts of different things to help manage the student body. And at first we were only using platforms like Blackboard, and then as new social media channels kept evolving and being created, I saw the benefit on, using Twitter and of course Facebook for the different groups and everything like that. And it just turned into a consultancy is what it's coming down to.
It's, just hearing your background is so funny to me because when I had my own product-based business, you were the one that was like, are you on LinkedIn? You should have a LinkedIn page. Why aren't you using LinkedIn? And it was like, you always just had such a keen eye for how to make these things work for your business.
Definitely. And it's really, they're specific too for which platforms you want to use. I remember when we were trying to get some new leads for hiring and everything, referring back to LinkedIn, that's definitely like a small business booster whenever you're searching for positions to fill.
Well, why do you think so many small business owners are intimidated by LinkedIn?
It's expensive.
Oh, mm-hmm.
The advertisements and everything. But creating a profile page, it's free. So it'll also, it gives you presence at least on that channel. They don't really have too much of a sales aspect on that since it's more of a networking website.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely helps being present on there.
I just don't see a lot of them on LinkedIn, and I wonder if they're intimidated by it, if they think that their crowd isn't there, or do you think that do you think they're missing opportunities there?
I don't think that they're missing out on opportunities for sales. Having a presence is always good.
Uh-huh.
But the one thing, though, is it's not user-friendly when it comes to trying to utilize LinkedIn to create new job leads. There are ways to do that. Making connections with other business owners and those sorts of things. That's a good networking site for that. But I would focus more on Facebook, Twitter, depending on the business. Since everything's going more visual too, Instagram is a huge one. Pinterest, that's another one. Their search features in Pinterest for different products and everything are amazing. And Google Plus, you always want to make sure that you have a Google Plus page for your business.
Why is that?
One of the big reasons is whenever you search a business on Google, the information, the location information, the contact information, it's populated through your Google account. So make sure that you have a Google business account and make sure that the information on there is up to date, because if you don't edit it, user-generated information will, and it's not always accurate, such as, the time, your business hours, and those sorts of things.
Do you think that Google Plus is also important for just online businesses?
I do.
Yeah.
There's definitely a bunch of different networking opportunities on there, not only for showcasing your products and letting everybody know more about your business, but the networking aspect is really great. And uh, 60%, a little bit more than 60%, maybe 63% of businesses or people who are searching for products are searching through the Google platform. The
Really?
other, the other business search engines, like Bing, for example,
Hmm.
there's only about 30% of users that are searching through that now. So it's mostly through Google anyway.
That's so. I guess that makes sense. We're so used to Google and just having Google be have the answers for us that yeah, I guess that probably makes sense to actually maximize that. Um, when so say we're starting Metropolis Soap all over again, and we're starting it today. What would you suggest are the first things that I need to do for social media? Like, what are the first platforms that I should go on?
Definitely Facebook.
Okay.
A majority of almost everyone who has internet access uses Facebook and has a profile. Pinterest is definitely an up and coming platform. Um, Instagram, everybody loves Instagram. It's easy to interact with.
Hmm.
And you can also showcase your products in various ways because they have the video options in there now, along with photo options. And then you can also, of course, create your own content and share it through there.
So going, actually, it's perfect segue. So going to content, I think that a lot of people, myself included, it's so difficult to keep thinking of new content all the time, every day, like something new, something exciting, and have it not feel like, I don't know, having it not feel like I'm just trying to post something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
So what are your tips for sourcing content? And do you, well, I'll get to the second question after that, but so what do you think are the best ways to think of new content?
Um, Inspirational quotes, that's always a good one. So you could take a photo of one of your products, make sure to leave a little bit of spacing for text and insert it there and share it with your followers. I always suggest that if you don't have analytics already started, you want to get all of those different accounts and everything created and also connected to WordPress or making sure that they're at least tracking the different analytics if you don't have WordPress. Or if you don't have analytics through the WordPress. There's also, once you have the analytics, ultimately, it's going to give you a much clearer picture on what your audience is searching for, along with their demographics and all of that kind of stuff too. So you want to make sure that you know that beforehand if possible. At first, you always kind of want to make posts to get an idea of when the best time to post will be.
Right.
But on top of that, combining that with the analytics and knowing exactly what they're looking for or what resonates most with them, it starts giving you a better idea of if inspirational quotes work best with your followers or if they prefer how-to articles over the inspirational quotes. If you have a blog and you're sharing that,
Which you totally should have a blog, by the way.
you should definitely have a blog. It also, everything gets tracked through the Google Analytics, so you can make adjustments accordingly. But I think one of the biggest things that small business owners, if they're not familiar with social media, there's a general understanding, I feel, that everybody knows how to utilize social media. And that's unfortunately not always the case because each of the different platforms, you have to communicate differently on there. You're not going to communicate the same way on Facebook that you would on Twitter or on Pinterest like you would Instagram. They're different. So what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're open to testing and trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of seeing what resonates most with that. You're not going to have a really clear picture until about 3 to 6 months in. as you're going through and trying to generate content. So it's experimental at first because you're getting to know your audience, but then after that you can really cater what you need to do to give them the content that they want.
I love that. And when, I guess, what I'm trying to get to is like, what's a good ratio for, say, my product as a piece of content and then inspirational quotes or content curation or things like that? Like, what's a good way to think about, like with Gary V, he had the jab, 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 right hook.
Uh-huh.
So what do you subscribe to the jab, 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 right hook, or do you think that there's kind of a formula?
You can. Over time, what I usually do is I sign up for a bunch of different newsletters at first,
Mm-hmm.
to help with uh, generating information for everybody. And I kind of do that by once I have the analytics, it's shows you pretty quick what the keywords are that everybody is searching for, which is ultimately leading to you. So I try to find different bloggers and different websites, and I usually start with 5 or 10 of them, and I read through. It's social media when you're posting and creating the content and everything. It's a lot of research that you have to do. You don't want to just retweet anything, but you want to make sure that you're actually reading through all of the different articles and everything, and sort of going off of things that you might have posted before, or if it's brand new, and you're creating a social media calendar, for example, it just makes it a lot easier if you are able to experiment to see what the best types of posts will be. And sometimes you also have to keep in mind too, the content that you're posting isn't always what you think you would like. You really have to think a different way and try to imagine what your customers are looking for. And sometimes that conflicts with what you like versus what they like. So it's definitely a shift in how you think about creating content. It takes a little bit of time to get that.
That's such a good point. Like I think I made so many mistakes early on, just thinking like, oh, I like this and I like this, and I'm not my customer, right? And it was just like,
Yes.
who am I, who am I doing this for?
Mm-hmm. And when small businesses are starting, uh, reaching out on when they begin utilizing social media, I feel like a majority of them, from what I've experienced at least, think that way. And a lot of the times, they post and they keep making posts, and it's just not getting the response that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps getting more of a burden, and that's why they end up hiring somebody for social media. And somebody who is trained in social media knows this. And it's also, having a social media manager is a good way to sort of give yourself a sounding board. It's another
Totally.
point of view. And it helps. And that's exactly what most companies need. It's just, I think sometimes companies are expecting instant gratification, with ROI
Mm-hmm.
and response times. And you have to keep in mind too that if you were posting a bunch of content before, and say you haven't posted anything consistently for 3 or 4 months, and then you hire a social media person and they're making a bunch of different posts on your various sites, and you're not getting the response, you kind of have to give it a little bit of time, because they also have to get used to seeing information from you, because right now they're not expecting it. But once you start posting things consistently, and say that you have a weekly blog series that you do, and you start posting every Monday, they're going to start noticing a trend, and they'll start, paying attention for that and getting used to seeing it. At first, they're just simply not. So you're not able to get a large response. And I think that also discourages a lot of small businesses because, time is money.
Sure. Well, what do you think that you mentioned before that sometimes these people just aren't connecting with you, or you're putting the wrong info. How would you too much coffee, I guess. What I'm trying to say is what's a good benchmark to say, okay, this isn't working, I need to change my strategy, or I need to get a professional in here, or I need to start rethinking my content?
If you have WordPress and you have your analytics set up through that, one of the things that you want to pay attention to is the bounce rate on your website.
Mm-hmm.
That can give you a lot of insight into different social media platforms.
And Google does that for Shopify and Etsy, by the way. It's not just WordPress, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I usually refer to, well, the bounce rate, and then also engagements go up and down. They're not going to constantly keep going up. They do rise over time because your followers are increasing over time. And the more consistent you are, the more responses you're going to get over time as well. So there's all sorts of different avenues that you can take with that.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I think that, like I said in the beginning, you're just posting like, oh, this is pretty, or I would like this. And then all of a sudden your Pinterest account's a mess and you're not bringing anybody. So what do you think is the time that somebody should begin to hire out and bring in a social media team or a manager?
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
Getting a presence online is imperative for all businesses now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is searching for exactly what they're looking for, and they're able to find it. And more than not, over 80%. And say if there's a follower that you have on Facebook, and if they refer somebody to you through one of your social channels, chances are, though, that there's going to be more than 80% chance that they're going to end up purchasing something from your company, whatever it is you're selling. So referrals are huge. And if you don't have a social media presence, a consistent one, if somebody goes to your site and you haven't posted something for 3 or 4 months, what's that going to tell someone? It's going to look like your company's not really open anymore.
I've had that so many times where I've gone to a website and I'm like, is this company still active? Like, nothing's happened here. I'm not comfortable giving them my info.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why consistency is so important. Even if it's once a week,
mm-hmm.
It depends on the social platform, and your social media manager would know that on how many times they should be posting on the different channels, because you don't want to get too spammy. People don't want to be sold to anymore.
Right.
They want to be the decision makers. So they're looking for what their friends and their family are purchasing and what sort of brands they support. And that's going to, eventually determine, if they'll be supporting your company or not. And then also, it gives you credibility. When you have a website, people usually take your company more seriously if you're creating your own content and you have a weekly blog post or monthly blog post, something showing that you are an expert in your field and that you can trust, that they can trust your products.
Well, you say that people don't want to be sold to anymore, and I think that's totally true. How do you still sell to them?
It ends up being more of like a partnership selling relationship.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
When you're online. That's what it comes down to. You want to resonate with your audience and let them know about your products because they want to make informed decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to take cold calls anymore. They're not. Email campaigns do work if they're familiar with your company, but if you're spamming people who aren't familiar with your products and everything like that, it will not work.
Makes sense. So I guess it's sort of like you're not actively selling, you're just staying top of mind. Do you think that's kind of right?
Yeah, yeah, with the consistency and then also with your own information that you're sharing with them, they get to know you and they end up trusting your brand. And especially if they're referring family and friends to you or, vice versa.
Now, you're talking about consistency and schedules. So I guess the good question would be what kind of schedule should I make or have my social media manager make? And is there is there a sweet spot for all the platforms or are there different sweet spots per platform?
There's different ones for each platform. They all kind of work differently, but they all ultimately, have the same goal. Um, what you want to do, chances are, if you're thinking about hiring a social media manager, you already have some of your social platforms already created.
Hmm.
And what you want to make sure, like I said earlier, you want to make sure that you have the analytics and everything set up if you don't already. But from there, you definitely want to focus on making those pages consistent with each other. You don't want to go from Twitter to Facebook to Pinterest and have different logos on each page and different background uh, information. And what you can do is you can start by there's different limitations on how much you can post on most social media websites anyway.
Hmm.
So you'll want to do the research on that. And the times of day, if you already have your analytics set up, there's ways to be able to tell the best time to post information on each platform.
Hmm.
So you're getting, the best reach. So you would just start with your first week, your first 7 days. Start with Monday, and write down each of the platforms that you have, and start with making them look cohesive,
Hmm.
and then also start with you can post a shared article. You can make an inspirational quote with one of the photographs that you have of your product. And then you can also share your blog, your most recent blog post. And right there, that would be three different types of content that you can share on each social media platform throughout the day, which will be at different times.
Hmm.
And you kind of want to mix them up a little bit too, because if you're posting if you're posting a blog, if you're posting a shared article, and then you're also posting a photograph with an inspirational quote on it, um, on all of your platforms the same day, make sure that not all of the same articles are being posted in the same order. You kind of want to mix and match it a little bit.
Oh, I see. Like kind of remix it for.
Yes.
Do you think that it's a good strategy to share across the same platforms, or do you think that it's better to do like Pinterest content, Pinterest specific content, and Facebook specific content, and so on?
Yeah, you can do it that way. It really depends on your products and what you're selling
Okay.
and how you're selling.
Hmm.
And your social media manager would be able to help you more with the specifics of that, because it has to. There's a bunch of different things that you want to make sure you're looking into. Most importantly, the which platforms you're already on, and making sure that you have the analytics and you know what your audience is looking for.
That's a good point. And I guess also with like tone, do you think that that's because I'm thinking specifically of LinkedIn versus Facebook, and I feel like if I'm a person that's looking to network and I want to do LinkedIn, but I also want my company to have a good presence on Facebook, I feel like maybe the tone would have to be different. Do you think that's true, or is that just kind of overthinking it?
No, the tone definitely has an impact on it.
Okay.
If you're posting something on Facebook, I would say that's a more, not necessarily like informal platform, but you can be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Like conversational.
You can be conversational. Now with Twitter, since you're limited to 140 characters in a post, uh, depending on what you're sharing on Twitter, since some of the information on there has recently changed. You can't be as conversational on Twitter as you can on Facebook. And comparing Facebook to Instagram, for example, Instagram is very, very hashtag friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook isn't. And I see a lot of companies still using hashtags in Facebook, and it really doesn't have a large benefit to do that. The sites that do have that you want to utilize hashtags in without overdoing it is Instagram and Twitter. So there's just different ways of communicating on each platform.
So when it comes to hashtags, what do you think are good ways to find appropriate ones? I feel like the ones that are like hashtag instagood and follow for like those just seem like spammy or something. Like you're just getting lost in a sea. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I would suggest with your analytics, once they're all set up, you're going to be able to see the different keywords that people are searching in Google that bring them to your different websites, and just start using those.
Okay.
And hashtagging those, and then also create a hashtag for your company's name too, and start adding that to all of your Instagram posts and all of your Twitter posts as well. So that starts creating a presence.
What's the benefit of having a custom like I understand the custom hashtag for Instagram because then you can kind of feature customers if they're using your hashtag. But what's the benefit of a hashtag on Twitter?
If somebody types in your business name, it's going to show up first.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
It shows up before your profile, or is that just one and the same?
They're usually mixed. Sometimes your profile shows up first. Sometimes it's a few posts down underneath. And it just depends on the interactions and the engagements that you've gotten on each of those posts.
That's so interesting. Do you think that I know that Facebook kind of dabbles in hashtags. Do you think that it's worth having hashtags in your Facebook posts too, or is that just sort of a overkill?
I think it is an overkill.
Yeah.
You want to be conversational. Hashtags aren't conversational. And you want to be careful on the different sites. A lot of people don't understand what hashtags are. That's one of the problems. But it also makes a conversational post choppy. And It's a little distracting. Definitely use emojis. Everybody likes those. your Facebook posts and Instagram and Twitter. Emojis are very, very friendly when it comes to the conversations, and hashtags aren't.
I see what you mean, where it's just like the emojis are kind of making it like have a voice, maybe like have a specific tone, I guess.
Yeah, they definitely set a tone, especially if it's
going back to our canvassing days.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely when you're things can be misinterpreted very easy through text.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do add an emoji, it helps to definitely set the tone versus not having it.
Sorry, now I'm just reliving our staff skills, which I'll explain that in the intro for people that are like, what are you talking about? Vietnam flashbacks. So if we're starting a small business and we're starting a small candle business and we want to hit the ground running, and we want to make sure that all of our social media is, just the best it can be right off the bat, and then we'll kind of tweak as we go. What kind of apps or things do you suggest people get started with?
The best apps I would suggest, you want to, whenever you're trying to figure out 5 to 10 different blogs or websites, a lot of news News pages, they usually have an app.
Okay.
Want to make sure that you get those if they have one. It makes it a lot easier to um, get to where you need to go if you're trying to save some time and share some articles with your audience. That's one suggestion. Um, a lot of people use there's if you go into the Google Play Store
Uh-huh.
and just search hashtag, that helps to generate some of the more popular hashtags based off of subject.
Okay.
So for Instagram, there's a bunch of different ones. Top tags, I know that's one of them, and you can pretty much just type in soap or nature, and what it'll do is it'll pull up different lists that you can just copy
Mm-hmm.
and paste into your post for the hashtags, because you can use up to 30 hashtags in a post on Instagram. But on Twitter, you don't want to use more than one or two in a post.
Well, does that cut down on your character? Are hashtags just a separate part of the character count?
For Instagram,
Oh no, for Twitter.
for Twitter, it does. It takes away the characters,
Oh, that's crazy. Okay.
and it looks spammy because you're only working with 140 characters on Twitter anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if all of it are a bunch of hashtags, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like a jumbled mess. But if you use 30 different hashtags on Instagram, you want to make sure that you're, setting little notes and, talking with your customers and everything and letting them know what the photograph is about before putting in the hashtags. And then what else? Let's see here.
What about like scheduling apps or like filters? Anything in particular that you use?
For photographs, whenever we're resizing those, because there are different size requirements for different profile pictures on the different social media sites, certain sizes for the background photos on the different sites, and you want to make sure that you're sizing things properly so it shows up on the different devices. But what I usually use is for Instagram, there is an app called InstaSize, InstaSize, and there's different filters and everything in there, and I don't really use the filters too often, but there is a crop feature in there that gives you a bunch of different options,
Okay.
and you can kind of adjust them accordingly, and then just save it to your device, and it makes everything look very tailored. I really like that app for resizing photographs.
What about the Buffer versus Hootsuite battle? Do you have a preference?
They both have their good points. They are a lot different, though. Obviously, it can help with being more consistent in your posts and everything, but Instagram is still not something that you can post directly through either Buffer or Hootsuite.
Mm-hmm.
Hootsuite does send you reminders on when the best time to post something on Instagram is if you end up connecting that account through there, but it won't go directly through. I think that for larger businesses, Hootsuite might be a better option because it's more specific when it comes to the analytics in there. And there's also a bunch of other things that you can do with it, whereas Buffer is a lot more user-friendly and still has analytics and everything. And their customer service for Buffer is out of this world. It's all live. You can actually watch their customer service on Twitter. They answer all of the questions and everything directly on there, which I really like. For smaller businesses, though, I would suggest Buffer.
Okay. I started with Hootsuite, and I think that this is the first year that I ever upgraded to Hootsuite Pro, and I liked it, but now I just feel like there's more that I can do with Buffer, like just the different apps that I've come across, and I don't know, like you said that it's more user friendly, and I think that that's true. I think that, Hootsuite's cool. It has the Instagram reminders, but I don't know. I feel like Buffer just has better, like it's just easier with Buffer, but I don't know.
I think it's definitely easier to use. I mean, they both have similar qualities, but for smaller businesses, Buffer is more user friendly, and it gives you exactly what you need, not only with the great customer service, but the different platforms that a majority of small businesses use anyway for social media. And then Hootsuite is good for scaling large businesses because it gives you the analytics are a little bit more specific, and you can align. What's the word I'm looking for? I like both of them, but I think just for our conversation, Buffer is the better bet for smaller businesses. It's also more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of different options. There's a free version that they have, and they also have I believe it's $10 a month for
Their awesome plan is that?
their awesome plan, and then $30 for the business plan that they have. That's $30 per month. So, and you get 24-hour a day, 7-day a week customer service. So,
Do you think that, have you done anything with the Pinterest thing that they have?
for Buffer,
Uh-huh.
yeah, when you're posting on through a mobile device, and you have a bunch of different boards, and say you're sharing something on one of your boards, are you? Let me back up a second. I have used it, and I had some trouble right when I first started using it because it wouldn't save. I can't just share an article, select the board, and then save it via mobile
Oh.
without adding a photograph.
Oh, like you have to, it won't pull from the article.
Yeah, it won't pull directly
Oh.
from it, so it's a little bit easier to add the Pinterest via desktop.
Mm-hmm.
You can still add it via mobile. It's just you want to make sure that you save a photograph before you go to post it
Okay.
to a board.
Okay.
But it works fantastic.
That's cool. I wonder if they'll ever, up that technology. That would be really cool to just kind of automate it as much as possible. But what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
Well, we are reaching the end. So what is the best way that people can reach you out in the internets?
You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Jared. It's Jarred, J Andrews. So at Jared J Andrews on Twitter. Same for LinkedIn. I'm on there under Jared J Andrews. Those are the ones that I usually use. I also have an Instagram account where it's not really business related. It's just more of some of my hobbies that I do.
More shots of New York.
Lots of shots of New York. Lots of shots of traveling to different places. Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can follow me on there, and then also my email address is jaredjandrews@gmail.com.
And I will link to all of those in the show notes so that people can just click and find you easily.
Excellent. I'm creating a website too, but it's down at the moment. I have one, but
It's in beta.
yeah, it's in.
All right, Jared, thank you so much.
Thank you.